So basically, Purvaphalguni is a kind of relaxation energy, a kind of rest-taking energy. So there is a sense of no activity, there is a sense of recreation, so there is a sense of restness and recreation of energy, because basically it is a kind of relaxation energy which will ultimately lead to some kind of recreation. So it relates to this no activity and relaxation. So as the energy is accumulated in this whole process of taking rest, that energy can be utilized somewhere in the future. It is difficult for us, it's not everybody, but at least some of us, to understand how something can be creative without being active, right? So there is a kind of restness, completely relaxed state. So there is no activeness at all. So all activity is dependent upon periods of non-activity. So that's the fundamental truth. So when you are taking rest, when you are sleeping, it's not sleeping actually in Purvaphalguni, I am telling you, it's actually a relaxing, a state of relaxation only, because you achieved something already in the Magha Nakshatra, the cyclic process. So there is a kind of relaxation and energy accumulation, so which will lead to some kind of activity in future, as there is no activity. So because you, let us say you are sitting in a chair and relaxing for some time, it means that you're not doing anything that time. So obviously the hope is that after that situation you will get some energy where you try to do something. So nothing or no one can work all the time, right? So when you take rest, then yes, you can work later after that. It is the periods of rest which provide the impulse for the creative or active periods. A lot of scientists and researchers have found that the solution to a problem usually comes to them not when they are actually working on the problem, but in the period when they have taken their mind off it, when they are actually not concentrating upon the actual problem and are in a state of complete relaxation, right? So when you have a problem and you are working on it, you may not get the solution, but when you are not trying to get a solution for that problem and you are doing something else, that time you may get a solution. Most of the times it happens also, right? And most of the problem solvers, troubleshooters and the scientists feel it. They actually felt it, right, already. So you can understand Purvaphalguni, the non-activity status is actually leading to some activity, is actually leading to some future actions and also solutions, right? Because sometimes when you're completely stress-free and relaxed, you think more logically, right? So this is probably the root cause for most of the physical and psychological traumas faced by the fast-paced life people, right? So they are feeling some kind of psychological problems because they are doing activities continuously. When you do activities continuously, you feel a kind of restlessness, and finally it may lead to a solutionless problems. It will lead to solutionless problems. So the non-activity, so the psychological traumas or the physical traumas are actually because of this continuous activity. And so this non-activity is very much important in life. The rest period is very much important in life. The relaxation is very much important in your life, right? So in a fast moving life, the psychological traumas or the physical traumas, right, you get because of the fast pacing life. However, one must be careful not to amplify the Purvaphalguni energy, because a complete non-activity for so long time is not a good sign, which is leading to a kind of laziness, a kind of wasting of time, right? So Purvaphalguni energy is required for everybody, but better it's not crossing the boundary. So the laziness and indulgence should be avoided at all cost, at any circumstance, right? So Purvaphalguni is relaxation that will ultimately lead to some solution and some activity, some creation. And the deity of Purvaphalguni, right? So you can see it is at the center of the sign Leo, which is a sun sign, right? Sun's own house. Even the Mulla Trikona house of sun is Leo, right? The duty performing house. So the deity is Bhaga, one of the 12 Adityas, of course. So Adityas are basically the solar deities. The 12 is very much important here. The 12 solar deities. So Bhaga, one of the 12 Adityas, is the main ruling deity of this nakshatra. He is often referred to as the morning star, Bhaga, right? So as a morning star, people generally say morning star is one of the 12 Adityas, which might be a reference to the planet Venus. As we shall discover later, Venus is the planetary ruler of this nakshatra, and in ancient times it was represented as a planet. In ancient time, Venus was seen as a planet representing the solar aspect of nature, right? As a morning star is generally, here it is referred to Venus. So that's why the Purvaphalguni is basically a Venus nakshatra. So Bhaga is actually treated as morning star. So Bhaga's name translates roughly into delight. Bhaga means delight, morning star, Venus, Venetian nature, Venetian energy, a morning star. So even in the ancient texts, you can see whenever the solar aspect of nature is discussed, they use the Venus energy. They use the term Venus, the Venusian energy, right, is present in the solar aspect of the nature. A similar Sanskrit word called bhoga, right? If you see that word, it is actually pleasure, indulgence, okay? Bhaga is actually the deity. So the similar term, if you see, bhaga is very much related to the solar energy, but whereas bhoga is also having that kind of solarian fire present, right? Bhoga is actually taking the pleasure, the indulgence. So similar sounding, it's actually the energy in the sounds are a bit similar also. And if you see the term bhaga, the bhaga sound is also used in the word bhagavan, right? So bhaga is delight and bhagavan is full of delight. It's full of delight. It's very much pure. The term bhaga is very much pure, and bhoga is, of course, it's actually having the same kind of fire with pleasure aspect coming into the picture, right? So Bhagavan is a term that is generally used, which is actually used for to refer gods, incarnations, or even evolved souls when a human is completely evolved and he is very much doing some kind of godly activities, then people refer him as Bhagavan, right? It's an evolved soul basically. So in keeping with this particular meaning and the energy, Bhaga is known for bestowing rest, relaxation, enjoyment, pleasure, affection, a sexual passion, and marital felicity. So Bhaga is actually a very positive term, right? It's full of delight. So that can provide so much of positive energy, a marital felicity, also sexual passion, also a kind of enjoyment, relaxation. So everything is positive here. So Purvaphalguni basically is treated as a nakshatra that can provide all this. Very positive nakshatra. Very positive nakshatra. So that can bring all of this. So marital felicity, the enjoyment, the pleasure, the relaxation, very positive thing, right? So Purvaphalguni is a kind of enjoyment, the enjoyment is also not seen as over sexualness, but it's a reasonable amount of sexual passion, reasonable amount of enjoyment. It's a kind of simple and sweet energy you can find in this nakshatra. And Bhaga, the morning star, the Venus, right? Or you can say one of the 12 Adityas. So Venus, I am just saying here, just to feel the energy of Bhaga. The Bhaga is not completely, it's very harsh, or it's not a kind of, it's not a harsh energy, it's not a very heat energy. I just don't want to mean that. That's why I'm also using the Venus term here so that you feel the Venusian energy in this Bhaga. It's a kind of delight. It's a kind of delight. It's a slow, smooth, and soft energy. And relaxation is the term I'm using, right? A sense of relaxation, a sense of no activity, a sense of pleasure, a sense of enjoyment, affection, some kind of sexual passion, right? A reasonable amount of, very soft, right? So that is the energy you can feel from this nakshatra. So recreation, right? Just imagine a kind of resort, a peaceful resort. Feel that energy with Purvaphalguni, right? That's the energy you can feel. So thanks for watching this video. We will update more about Purvaphalguni in some other video.